Welcome back, you guys. This is your girl, your host, your lovely best friend in your head, Miss Vonne Rae. I hope everyone that's out there listening is having a great day. Happy Friday. You know, it's the weekend. We crunk, we ready. What we doing? What are we doing? And what are we drinking this weekend? You know what I'm saying? What's your plans? It's December, y'all. We in December. Can you believe it? It is December 10th, and we are literally in December. And we are basically, you know, here. We're here. The year is at that point for us to start reflecting, for us to start, kind of doing some self evaluations. I know a lot of people are getting ready now to do their vision boards, and they are also getting ready to do their goals, their what they got for 2022, what they got planned for 2022. And for me, I really didn't have goals. Like, I'm putting my lipstick on those who are listening, but the ones who will be viewing this on YouTube will be able to see, because your girl ain't editing nothing out. Anywho, let's jump into this, because today I got me a real hit the press, hit the press, hit the press kind of news. And I wanted to touch on a subject because lately it's been coming up about how black women are valued, how black women are treated. And I felt like I really wanted to touch on that because most of the time when something is packaged nicely, we tend to subscribe to it. We like the prettiness. We like the glitz. We like the girl who her hair is always on point. Her makeup is flawless, and we subscribe to that narrative, and we think that that's what every black woman should look like, or, not realizing that our melanin is so diverse and it changes based on, all these different things. So, what I realized is that lately, a lot of black women have been talking about relationships, how they either feel in a relationship, out of a relationship, or getting ready to look for a relationship. And oftentimes they're looking to others that are in relationships, seeing what they're seeing from the outside and making the assumption that, hey, this is what a relationship should look like. We screaming couple goals. We looking at Will and Jada for many years. Now, I am in that category of Will and Jada's age because they're not far away from my age group, just by a couple years, maybe 4 or 5 years. But yeah, when they got married, the narrative was that their relationship was couple goals. And the reason that is because we never knew what was happening in their relationship. So all the time we were seeing them on the red carpet, we were seeing them in movies, we were seeing them, and there was no scandals coming out about them. Up until the August Alsina scandal, we did not know anything about their relationship. And then we started seeing and hearing all these different things about their relationship, how, Jada and Will, they have an open relationship. Now, let me tell you this. For years, it has been speculated that their relationship was open. And to each his own. That's them. If they wanted to have an open relationship, why can't they? The narrative is that every relationship will never look the same. And these are modern times. And I believe that in modern times, no one's relationship should be mimicking anyone else's. When I got into my relationship, I told him I didn't want my relationship to look like something you've had in the past or something I've had in the past. I wanted my relationship to actually look like something that I built together with you, what we want for each other as a couple, as we join together. And I realized that 90% of the time, we were happy. Like, there were ups, there were bumps in the road because we're learning each other. But as we started to grow and trust in each other and build together, we started to see that our relationship works for us. It might not look great on the outside for others, but this is who we are as a couple, and we don't really care what other people think about that. What we do know is that we are happy within the relationship that we built together. So I say all that to say that bringing up this topic, when we segue into this topic, is because recently one of the girls that I subscribe to on YouTube, she brought up a channel called Toby and Fat. And I've never heard of them. Apparently they're popular. I guess because sometimes I know they're popular black people that are out there and people know like in pop culture, but I'm not affiliated with them or familiar with them. So I don't really know them until something surfaces. Remember when we had what was his name? I think not Kevin Samuel. The guy, I need to remember what his name is before I start talking about him or bringing him up. But unfortunately, he used to do these vlogs in his car and talk about women and all this stuff, and come to find out he had cheated on his wife. And then she comes and she sits down, and it looks like this passive aggressive relationship where he's forcing her to be at his side after it was outed that he was a cheater and he was a liar and all this. And before that, prior to that, all these women, all these girls, even my sister knew him to the point where I used to see her like posting something he said, or my friend Nina would be posting something he said. I think his name is Derek. And I was like, I didn't really care for him because I could see through the bullshit. And 90% of the times I could see through the bullshit. So, like I said, when things are packaged nicely, we tend to subscribe to them because the narrative of black women is we already have it hard in the dating pool, right? Black women have it hard in the dating pool. So why put us down? Why put a black woman down if she's trying to date? And then you as a black man, you're starting to say things like, she's not the woman for me. I didn't really want her in the beginning. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Like, you found every fault of her. You didn't uplift her. You didn't look at the attributes of a black woman and express how beautiful they are. So you rip the black woman apart. And I noticed that the black men continue to paint this narrative that black women aren't valuable or lovable or gentle or soft. And then this is how others view us. Others view us as these aggressive, hard women who don't know how to be gentle, who's okay to be treated like shit. You meet a man. Here's the thing. I'm being as vulnerable as I can here. I met a man, and I don't know him. I have no clue where he came from. I'm now beginning to learn who he is. And if I ask the questions that are important to me, like, hey, do you have children? Do you, are you married? Are you divorced? Have you ever been married? Those are the questions that a lot of times, the 20 questions that we pick off the list, because we're looking for something when we're asking those questions. We're looking to see if you're the right compatibility for us in the time frame or the framework that we're building for ourselves. And so I met my son's dad, and I asked him, hey, do you have any kids? He said he only had one. I don't know him. I've not been around him his whole life. So I don't know if he has one kid or not. I went with the narrative. He has one kid. I became a mom, and then when I became a mom, I found out that while I'm like supposed to be enjoying that process of being a mom, that there's two other kids before mine, but at the same time, one of them were about to be born, and I had just found out I was pregnant. Now, I didn't realize the one was going to be born when I found out I was pregnant until 20 years later, because things didn't go where it was put two and two together. But this was the man that I'm like, who the hell keeps texting? Oh my God. So this isn't the guy that I, like, I didn't know what was going on, so I can only go by what he told me. And so that's where the narrative shifts now, because I no longer wanted that relationship wasn't healthy, because in my mind I was falling in love, I was being, gentle with him, I was sharing who I was, and I thought that it would go somewhere. And then come to find out, it didn't go anywhere. I just became a baby mama. Let's keep it real and as realistic as possible. I became a baby mama. I'm not afraid to say that I'm a baby mother. Now my son is a way older. Life has been good to me as a mom and raising my child on my own and with other partners. But at the same time, that hasn't shifted my narrative of dating and how I look at dating and meeting someone. You always have to know that you go in a relationship with blind trust. So there's the couple Toby and Fat that I'm talking about. Really? Like, you hear the sirens and shit? Okay. So, this pops up on my YouTube, and I was like, okay, what's going on? So apparently, they are like popular. Michelle Obama knows them. They're singing. It's a couple, a married couple. They have children together. They're all this, like, black is beautiful. Black lives matter. Black, like that black love. They're showcasing this, and they're showing you on the outside, like I said, when it looks good and it's packaged nicely to you, you subscribing to the narrative that they're pushing out to you. So they started a YouTube channel about 3 years ago, and they did like a series of, I think, 4 or so episodes, and I'll leave the link in the show notes below so you guys will be able to go to the video if you want to watch them and see it. They listed it there, and they have an Instagram. They got the blue check, so that signifies that they somebody on Instagram and social media. And her real name is not Fat, but Toby, this is her Instagram handle. Toby calls me fat. F-A-T, not P-H-A-T. Pretty hot and tempting. That ain't what he call her, boo. What he call her is F-A-T. You a fat. You hear what I'm saying? Now, she is skin and bones. She is not a fat woman. She is skinny. She is beautiful. She has a great smile. And she just has this unique look about her. And of course, he's a darker skinned man. But when I watched the first video, because I wanted to make my own narrative on it. I didn't want to get up and be like, oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and just believe what anybody said. I was like, okay, I'll check them out after I watch this video that this girl is talking about. And I'll actually leave hers in because she did a different narrative about it. He comes off very degrading and demeaning. So they're telling their story, their love story of how they became a couple and how they got to the point where they're parents. And she's sitting behind him, and he's sitting on the floor, and she's playing in his hair and trying doing the twisting and stuff and greasing the scalp. That's like, if you're black and you're watching this, you know where that connotation come from. And if you're another race and you're watching it, this is what it is. It's like you're nurturing. So they knew exactly what they were doing when they sat down like that, especially him. It's to show that he is the man in the relationship. He has control and power, and she is catering to his every whim. So he starts to tell how they met. And apparently, like, in the whole video, he kept saying, I didn't want you. I did not want you. You weren't the girl that I wanted. You were not the girl that I felt like I need to be with. And she's trying to talk and explain herself, and he's cutting her off, and he's like, chopping at her, and she's laughing. And a lot of the comments, as I'm reading, going down the comments, a lot of it is cringeworthy. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't even watch this, because like everyone is like, run, girl, run, run, because this guy is literally saying to you that after all these years of marriage and children, he did not want you. So, he's like bringing her down. He's talking to her. in a way of like very demeanish and whatnot. And so let me go back to when it's packaged nicely. And the reason I'm rephrasing and keep using that phrase is because I want you to get a narrative of how people subscribe to them before they even heard their story. Because in the beginning, it was packaged nicely. So I went to investigate the channel. And when I got on the channel, the very first video was their proposal. Now, the way YouTube works, and me being on YouTube, trying to get my podcast together and be able to stream on YouTube, you have to put yourself in a position to gain the audience. So in the beginning, 3 years ago, when they first put the post up, the very first post they put was part 1 and 2 of their engagement party. And I actually watched it to the point where I teared up at his words when he was, talking about her, when he was saying like why he's deciding. So, Toby is like, you would fall in love with it. If you watch the video, you would literally fall in love with it. You would not have nothing negative to say because that was the first video. And I believe that's where they were trying to go with, is like, we show this side of us because YouTube is a money making platform. And if you're going to give people something to subscribe to, you got to give them something worthy of watching or listening to. And so at the end of the day, with Toby and his wife, that's what they did. Like the way the proposal, just the conversation, just the way he was expressing his feelings, his emotions, is so different from the day when they sat down on that couch and tried to tell their story. The same guy in that engagement video is no longer the guy that you look at in a good way, because now he's telling you what he felt and truly felt about her. And I think it's the same guy. I know some people would say, oh no, he changed, he evolved. In a way, it's okay that you change and you evolve. But when you come on and say demeaning things about the woman that you love, and you say how you want to be in a relationship with, and how you're, building bonds and being creative, and, she is like in him, like she is the devour in him, like this is who she is. She loves him, she's laughing, she's finding a way to try to express her feelings, and in every single situation, he's literally, so like I was saying, like he's subscribing to like this dominance over her. And a lot of people in the comments were really, really cringeworthy. I wanted to touch on this subject a lot too, because I find that we are constantly making Black women out to be something they're not. And most of the time, like when I'm on Twitter and I'm on the blogs and I'm in social media, there is this negative like disrespect for Black women. There is this like hierarchy of Black men that feel like if I degrade a Black woman, no one else would want her. And I don't know if that's because of American slavery, American history, but I find, for me, coming from a West Indian culture and I've never really seen a whole lot of like aggression against Black women the way I see it when I came here and migrated to this land. Like it felt like, am I undeserving of love as a Black woman? Like that's the questions that you start to ask yourself, because like I said in the that episode where I said I don't subscribe to Black love, is because I want the narrative of love, not a color on top of love. I want that the partner that I choose is going to love me for me and all that I am, without trying to change me and tell me, oh, when I met you, I ain't like you. That, that I wasn't into you and you chased me down and you had to wear me down. Like it is so cringeworthy to watch, but please watch. Please click the link in the bio below, in the show notes. Just definitely click that link so you can actually watch the channel and make your own judgment. I know for me, These are the people I don't subscribe to for love. Another thing is on YouTube, you know, when a man does wrong, or not even on YouTube, but in the world, when a black man does wrong, or any man does wrong to his woman, the woman takes the brunt of his bad behavior. So let me bring this topic up and then we'll wrap the show up. You are a popular YouTuber, you have a boyfriend, you got pregnant, you had kids, then you wrote a book and said that, hey, he cheated and he got another woman pregnant, and the narrative you're trying to spin is you need to look good, but then months later, almost a year later, on the internet, you're being dragged for lying and allegedly doing all these different things to people and so forth. Now, you're attacking the baby mother. I haven't heard you sit down and have, like, make him accountable for anything. But now here we are, two women that were lied to, literally going head to head. I see it so often in the black community, because we coddle these men. We coddle these black men because we make them feel like they're powerful. We make them feel like they are deserving and that they have to not do much. We make black men do the bare minimum to be loved by us and to get a little bit of love. And I think when black women say, oh, I want a black man and I want black love, and I'm not saying all black men are this way, but let's look at the majority of black women who are discussing in their friend groups and on platforms how they've experienced black love, and realize that every one of them have the same similar story to tell, that just if he give me just enough of his love, then I'm okay with that relationship because he's black. Until it gets to the point where you start to see that you don't recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. Now you want a different relationship. Or, you know, you're in love, you're with him, you become a baby mama, and the minute you become a baby mama, he walks out the door because he didn't subscribe to that. He didn't sign up to be a parent. And so he don't want that responsibility. Unfortunately, as a mama, we can't leave our babies at the doorsteps like men walk in and do that. We can't, because they came out of us. We made those humans. So we can't just say, oh, you know what? I don't want this one either. So since you don't want it and I don't want it, let me just drop it at somebody's store and walk away. We're not built that way. As women, some women give up their babies because of circumstances, but trust and believe throughout their life and their adult life as they get older, they remember those things because those things are traumatizing, and that's just the way it is. That's just the reality of it. Now, why are we as black women afraid to love outside the box? Like, why are you afraid to love outside the box? Is it because you feel that you're going to be judged by your peers and the groups that you're from if you decide to go to a different love? Like, you don't think that the person will relate or understand? I mean, any man that you're in a relationship with, there's that conversation you have to have. Whether he's of a different race or you guys are both black, you still have to have hard-hitting conversations. So when I hear people say things like, oh, well, me and a white man won't have much to talk about, he won't relate, half the time you don't even talk to the black man that you're in a relationship with, because all he's thinking about is making money, doing this, and doing him. And is he actually trying to do you and you guys as a couple? I'm just throwing that out there for conversation for those who are listening and watching. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to another week of She Talks Live podcast. This is your girl Vonne Rae, and you know where to find me every Mondays and Fridays right here on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast from. So I will see you next week on another brand